Hi, this is Allyse Sedivy, and today we're going to talk about placements. This is a really, really important part of your business because once we find people, right, and they come to a class, they get excited and they want to do the business with us or even share with us, we need to know where to place them in the organization. This is so critical that literally it can cost you months, if not years, of your time building and rebuilding. So let's get just right into it. The first thing that you need to know about placements is who are you looking for and where do you place them? So I wonder if you've asked yourself, who am I really looking for? You know, I'm going to give us an analogy really quick. When we're dating and looking possibly to get married, right? We have an idea in our mind what type of person that we're looking for. And, sometimes our idea is so specific that we know them immediately when we see them. Well, for the business, you need to know exactly who you're looking for. And you need to keep looking for that type of person until you find it for your front line. One of the things that I did at the very, very beginning of the business is I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew that I wanted self-reliant leaders, meaning leaders after I have trained them and after we have worked together for a little bit can do the business all on their own. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't call me back or they won't need help from time to time, but I really wanted self-reliant leaders because I wanted time freedom. I didn't start doing doTERRA to become a slave to the business, but I also didn't start doing doTERRA to retire. Like, it's something that I'm going to do and Patrick's going to do for a long time. But with time freedom comes a number of different incredible things like, if you're wanting to spend more time with your spouse, if you're wanting to spend more time with your kids, if you're wanting to travel more, if you're wanting to do humanitarian type things. And for me at times at the beginning, when I had time freedom, it gave me the time to go out and find new builders, exactly what I was looking for, and to keep building the business. So this was my goal. And I knew exactly what I wanted, self-reliant leaders, and I wanted time freedom. And every decision that I made when it came to placing people or to building was I would measure it against that goal. Does this help me have self-reliant leaders, and will this give me time freedom? So I feel like almost everybody in the company, this is their goal, but they don't have it clear in their mind, and they don't have it in a way where they measure all their decisions based on it. Usually it's something that after they've built, after they've placed, and they go back and think, this is really what I want. But now my organization looks very different and it's hard for me to imagine something different. Now, there are three types of people that enroll in doTERRA, and we know this, right? There are product users, which are 85% of the people that enroll in doTERRA they just want to use the product. They're product users. There are sharers, and sharers are the type of people that they want to share the product, but they want to do it, on their time. They want to do it here and there. They don't want, basically, their life revolves, and then doTERRA is fit into their life whenever is convenient. Builders are the type of people that have a specific goal. They dedicate specific amount of time to the business, and they're wanting to have residual income. And they're also, wanting to hopefully follow a system. Now, I have a question for you because some people don't ask this part of the question. And that is, how do we identify which type of person? Because it's really, really important to identify which type we're dealing with. So at the very beginning, remember, we have, just Oh, let me go back. Sorry. We have only 14 days that we can, when people come into the business, that we can actually place them. And in those 14 days, we need to identify who they are and then be able to place them accordingly. So there's a lot of different ways that we identify them too, right? One starts with in the class, at the end of the class, when you talk about the three types of people that come to the class. Remember when we do that in a class? If you don't know about this, go back to the daily mentor calls and study this out, where we talk about there are people that want to come and just use the product. There are people that want to come and share the product. And there are people that want to do like what we do and actually build a business, right? Another way that we identify people is those that want to do classes off of classes. A different way that we identify people is at the wellness consult. And then we can also identify people through our continuing education classes at the end when we do product education. And then one-on-one. Sometimes a lot of times actually, we'll have one-on-one, business overviews with people, and they say, hey, I would like to do this as a business. So there's a lot of ways to identify people. But the next question is, are there different types of builders? Or when somebody says, I'm a builder and, I want to build the business. Okay, great. Awesome. You're frontline. Is that what we do? Right? If someone's excited, unfortunately, a lot of times that is what we do. But there are absolutely different types of builders. And that's what we're going to go over in this next section, is what type of builder are you looking for? And I know that some people, they're kind of worried because they have a hard time finding builders anyway. So they think to themselves, oh my goodness, if I pass up any builders, I don't know the next time that a builder will come around. So I better take whoever comes. Well, that's an issue of knowing how to find builders. And it's also an issue of placing and building your business out of fear. And so when we have the skill sets to do the business correctly, then we can actually look for search and wait and place when we find what we're really looking for. And it's an incredible thing. Okay, the first thing we're looking for committed people. Committed. I love this picture. She's very committed, right? Like once you jump, there's no going back. Let me tell you what committed means in our business, okay? It means that they do what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it. They do what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it. So I'm going to go back to the analogy of dating, right? Can you imagine you were dating and you're dating a guy and you just barely started dating. Maybe you're on your first or second date. And the guy says, yeah, I'm a really good guy. I'm super nice. And I want to marry you. And all you say is, you're a good guy? And he says, yeah. Okay, well then let's get married. I mean, that's silly when you think about that, right? You would never just take somebody at their word that they're a good guy. What do? Well, you give it time, you test it out, you see what, who they really are, because anyone could say anything. But interestingly enough, when it comes to our business, we take people at their word all the time. And when you put somebody on your front line and then decide to build underneath them or place people underneath them, it's like being committed in a relationship for a really, really, really long time. 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It's a commitment. It's almost like a commitment of marriage, right? A lot of times I'll teach a class and I'll go around the room and I'll just point to people. Are you committed? Yes. Are you committed? Yes. Are you committed? Absolutely. Are you committed? Well, I'm here, aren't I? Everyone says they're committed. So you can't just go off of if they say they're committed or not, because that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that they're excited or willing to do the business, right? But it doesn't mean that they belong on your front line as a qualified leader. And we're going to go over that a little bit, a lot more a little bit later. So that's the first thing that we're looking for. People that are committed. They do what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it. So let me tell you what happens if you put someone that's committed on your front line, but they're not capable. They can't sign people up. Okay, they're committed though. Let's imagine that you place your Aunt Edna on your front line. And this happens all the time, right? So Aunt Edna comes to the first class and she's excited and she wants to support you. And she's like, yeah, I'd like to do this with you. And you say, great, that's awesome. Let me put you on my front line. And Aunt Edna is so committed. Let me tell you how committed she is. She is always on the calls. She does whatever you tell her that she's going to do, whenever. And she's always there early. She stays late. She brings the peppermint brownies. I mean, Aunt Edna is awesome. But Aunt Edna can't sign anyone up on her own. She can't. And so what do? Well, you feel really bad for Aunt Edna. So you think, I have to help Aunt Edna. So, because she's so committed and she's so awesome. So you place your own leaders underneath Aunt Edna. And it sounds like this. Well, Aunt Edna can really help them. And if she gets a little bit of money coming in, I think it will really jumpstart her. That's the one that everyone uses. Or, she's really great at managing people. So if I place my people under Aunt Edna, she could manage them. Well, let me tell you a secret. All of those people are not committed to Aunt Edna. They don't know her. They don't have a relationship with her. They have a relationship with you. So what happens? Those people go back to you. They want you to do their 3-way calls. They want you to help them teach a class. They want you to do strategy sessions with them. And so now you've got not just Aunt Edna that you're treating like a frontline. You've got 3 other people. So now you're doing the work for 4 frontline people instead of 1. Well, what happens if you do that again with your sister? And of course, if you're going to help anyone in the organization, it would be your sister, right? But she can't sign anyone up. She's just really committed. She does all the things you ask her to do, but she can't sign anyone up. So you then build for her and you find people and you put under your sister. Now you're doing the work for 8 people, you're having 8 frontline people, right? And what if you do it again for Betty, your really, really good friend? Now, this is no exaggeration. You are literally building 12 frontline people. 12. Do you know how many people that I build? Only my frontline. That's all I do. I help, I do calls, I do what I can for second and level leaders, but I build my front line and I help my front line. I don't build underneath them. So let me tell you this. You are getting a check like a silver, but you're doing the work of a double presidential diamond. And all of us only have 24 hours of the day. And so right here, you have totally, completely taken your time freedom away. In fact, you're so busy doing all of these things for everybody else that you have no time to go and contact and follow up and find new leaders that would be better on your front line, that would help you more and that would be more self-reliant. Some people do this 20 or 30 times all over their organization. And I think to myself, you're working harder than I am, but getting paid a fraction of what I get paid. Do you see how only having committed people on your front line is a problem? It's an issue. And you can do this. You can do this your entire business, but the trade-off is your time freedom. And the trade-off is not having the check that you want for the work that you're putting in. So These are committed but not capable people. The next thing we're looking for are people that are capable. Capable. Let me tell you what capable means to me. It doesn't mean she has potential. It doesn't mean, well, she used to be PTA president, so she's totally capable of this. No. It doesn't mean she had a business before, she's the most capable person. No. Capable means this and only this. They can sign up people without any help from you, without any training. I know that's hard to swallow. No training and no help from you, they can sign up people. But I want you to think about this for a minute, okay? Oh, I'm gonna just, before we go to Julie, let's go back and just look at this cute picture. I want you to think about this. Many of you on this call, when you first joined the business, were you trained very well? Or, did you know what you were doing? But somehow you got people excited all on your own. You just picked up the phone and you started talking. Something about you was very capable, meaning you were persuasive. And people wanted to do what you said to do. That is a capable person. And the reason why we want to find capable leaders is so they can build for themselves. Now, of course, in time, we're going to help them and train them, right? But at the beginning, you need to find out if they're capable all on their own without you, because you'll never know if it's you or if it's them. Now, let's go. Are we clear on capable, right? They can sign up people all on their own without any help from you, period. And a lot of my leaders stumble over this because they go, no, they're totally capable. I'm like, really? Okay. Look at their rank. How long have they been sitting there at that rank? And how many people have you had to build for them or buy in under them? And I'm like, are they really capable? Are they building for themselves? Are they finding their own people? Well, no. Well, then they're not capable. And it's really important that you are clear on who you're working with, because in 1 to 2 years after you've worked with them for a while, you'll get really clear. And then it's hard because you've sunk 1 or 2 years into this build and it's frustrating. So what if you put people on your front line that are capable, but they're not committed? And this is kind of a harder one for people to understand, because if you have Julie and Julie, like the first month, signs up, 6 people on her own, you think, oh my gosh, she's awesome. She's totally capable. This is great. She can sign up her own people. It's amazing. And you say, she's frontline. But what if Julie is not really committed to the business? What if she doesn't get on the calls and she won't duplicate and she's not a team player? Her people don't get trained. She doesn't follow a system. What happens with all of the people under Julie? Who do they have to go to? Think about this. And if your goal is time freedom and having self-reliant leaders, this sometimes is a way bigger problem when it comes to time freedom than someone who's committed but not capable. So if Julie's there and she can sign up all these tons of people, but she will not commit, she's not committed, you can never rely on her. You have to pick up all the pieces in her organization and do all the training and do all the follow-up. And once again, you act as frontline. And it takes all of your time, and sometimes it takes more of your time. Because if Julie has 10 or 20 great people, here you are building like multiple people without Julie being committed and capable. And once again, it takes your time because they're going back to you. And in this situation, you have one leg, an elite leg, but literally you're working like a presidential because you have 7 frontline here because Julie is not committed. And you have no time to find the people that you really want to find to meet your goal of having time freedom and having self-reliant leaders, right? See all these people, they're going to go back to you. Oh, look at that. That's hard. I know. I totally know how you feel because I work with leaders that have done this and it's hard. So this is somebody that's capable but not committed. And it's not a good scenario. There was somebody in my organization. They weren't my frontline. They were a couple levels down. And he was amazing. Literally, he was amazing. In 1 month, I think he signed up 50 personally enrolled people. 50. That's a lot. And he went gold in 2 months. Think about this. But he would not duplicate. He was not committed. He was all over the place, and he was not training his team. Well, the interesting thing about capable people is they're not just capable in doTERRA, they're capable with anything they do in their lives, and they know this, right? And so after about 6 months, he came back to me and he said, I think I'm going to do something else, because for the money I'm making in doTERRA, I can make way more money somewhere else. Well, that's because our business, the way you make money in our business is by duplication. It's by getting a lot of people to do a few simple things, right? And he was doing them all. So he actually left the business. And then the upline had a big mess to solve with all of these people. So it's not ideal. So let's talk about the ideal structure. If we know we're looking for committed and capable people, what is the ideal structure? And now, of course, nobody has the ideal structure. I don't have an ideal structure, but because I worked towards this ideal, I have close to an ideal structure. It's kind of like you have this idea of an ideal family, right? And you work towards that, and you're close to that ideal, but it's never perfect. But it's better than if you never had that ideal and you didn't know what you were working towards. So the ideal structure in our business is this. Here's you on the front line, okay? You are on the front line here's you in your organization. On your front line, you have only committed and capable people. 2 C's. In fact, if it takes you longer to find those 3 committed and capable people, that's okay. I know that, sometimes you're pressured by wanting to get the power of 3, or your upline wants you to get the power of 3, or they're really, really wanting you to go silver so they can go diamond. And sometimes you feel pressured to quickly put people in those positions. But in the long term, you will pay for it. And it will take you a long time to rebuild and find new people. And so only put committed and capable people. The other thing is, when you have just committed and capable people on your front line, think about this. If they all do what they say they're going to do, when they say they're going to do it, and if they can all find their own people, can you imagine what your business is like? Can you imagine that? So the reason why I'm the top rank of the company isn't because I'm the smartest. And it's not because, I know the oil is the best for sure. I think it's because I knew exactly what I was looking for. And I kept looking, and I kept talking to people and recruiting until I found what I was looking for. And not all, but most of my frontline, they build for themselves. So imagine what your business would look like right now if you had committed people that all built for themselves. Imagine how much time you would have to find new people, right? I would rather you build one leg and put your product and product users and shares under that one leg and wait till you find the right person for your second line, instead of just throwing up 3 people really fast. In the long run, it will be much better for you. So on your second level is committed or capable. So if someone's committed, but they don't really know how to sign people up, you can still work with them. They still go in your organization, just not on your front line. Or if somebody can sign a lot of people up, but they're really not committed to following through and doing what they say they're going to do, then you can still work with them for sure, but just not on your front line. So those type of people go on your second level. Now, I always have people that say, well, wouldn't it be better if on the second level there's committed and capable people too? So it's like CC on the front line and CC on the second level. I'm like, absolutely. I mean, if you can do that in your organization and you have CCs, committed and capable people, all the way down. I mean, your organization will build that much faster, right? But for the ideal, we're just going to teach committed and capable on your front line, committed or capable on your second level, and then third level. Third level is where we put product users or sharers, never on the front line or second line. Sharers or product users go third level because all we're doing is just counting on them for volume, right? Not to show up, not to build. At the end of the month, we don't have to pressure them because this isn't what they wanted anyway in the first place. This is what the ideal structure looks like. And if you get that really clear in your mind, some of you might say, oh my gosh, my structure looks nothing like this. That's okay. A little bit later, we're going to talk about how to solve it, right? So you're never stuck in this business. You're never stuck in doTERRA. We can always move forward and solve problems, but you need to know what your ideal is first. So how do we know if they're both committed and capable when we only have 14 days to place them? How in the world would we know? Can you imagine if you only had 14 days to date somebody and you had to decide if you're going to marry them or not in those 14 days? This is hard, right? So sometimes even though we do everything that we can, we still don't know and we make our best judgment. But there is things that we can and should do. So let's go over those. We need to test them. We have to test them before we take their word for it, because we're not going to just take their word for it. We have to test them. How do you test someone to see if they're committed and capable? How do you test them? And unfortunately, some of you are so desperate to take anyone that's excited about the business that you're not willing to test them. And you just take a chance over and over and over again. And what you're doing is you're taking a chance on your business, or you're stretching out when you're going to be successful for a while, or even worse, you're basically not ever allowing yourself to have time freedom because you simply didn't test them. The first thing that we need to do to see if they're committed is we have to give them 3 to 4 things to do. In that very first week, when they say they're excited, they want to do the business, people are always excited at the very beginning first, right? We give them 3 to 4 things to do, and it really doesn't matter what we give them. It could be write a list of 100 people by Tuesday. It could be get on our team call Monday night. It could be come to our continuing education classes on Saturday. It could be put a couple of your best friends that you think would be best in the business on a call with me, whatever it is. Give them 3 to 4 things to do. And if they do them when they say they're going to do them, it's a pretty good chance you have a committed leader on your hands. Now, always I have people that will say, oh, but Allyse, her sister got sick and she had to go help her sister, or some things were really going on with her kids this week, or on and on and on and on. I hear the excuses all the time. And I literally will tell them, that's fine. This is your business. You can do what you want. But these are red flags. They're red flags. And you're going to be coming back to me in 6 months or so, and we're going to have to be rebuilding this leg almost always. So give them 3 to 4 things to do and just decide if they do them or not, if they're committed. Now, what's the worst case scenario? If they end up being awesome and they're on your second level, especially if you hold on to enrollership, is that bad? Is that so terrible? No. So you have some awesome people on your second level, great. But don't put them on your front line if they can't do what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it. Okay? That's how you test them to see if they're committed. Capable. To see if they're capable, you need to just see if they can get others interested in doTERRA without your help or training right from the very, very beginning. Right from the beginning. So we're always most excited about something when we first decide to do something. Think about our New Year's resolutions, right? and we're going to work out or we're going to get in shape. The first week or two, we're the most excited and we're the most committed to doing something. So when someone decides, hey, I want to do the business, that first week or so, that's when they're most committed to doing the business and they're most excited. And you can't help them right now. You have to see what they'll do on their own. Because if you help them, you never know if it's you or them. Now, of course, you're going to help them in the future, but you're just testing them to see what you have on your hands. And so you simply can say, hey, go and talk to a few people and see if you can get them interested in doTERRA, right? And have them talk to me. Let's see what happens. And this will be a telltale sign. Some of them won't be able to get anyone to talk to them. Are they a capable leader? Are they the leaders that could do this on their own if they needed to without any help or training? No. Or it's really interesting who they bring back. They're very best people. And if they're bringing back only product users and nobody that's, interested in the business, that's pretty much a warning to you. Hey, let's probably not put them front line. If their best people aren't interested in the business at all, they're only product users. That's not what you want on your front line. You want builders that can bring other builders, right? And if that's the case, you just put them second level, or if their share is third level. But it's super, super important that you test them. Without testing them, you are taking a risk. And that risk sometimes can be really difficult in the future. So is that clear? That's how you test them. And I know this goes against people's grain. I know this is something that you have to retrain, but it is so critical. It's so critical. Now, one of the things I want to go over in a little bit more detail is this. If they can get people to the table, who are those people that they're bringing to the table? Are they sharers? Are they product users? Are they just their family? Or are they builders that are committed and capable? And based on the type of people that they bring to the table that they're able to persuade, should be a really good indication of where they belong in your organization. Right? All right. Now, you just need to go out and find who you're looking for. And how do you do that? By freeing up your time so that you can contact and follow up. Contacting and following up is the most critical activity of the business. And as you do this, as you're talking with people and as you're contacting people and as you're following up with people, it really kind of is a numbers game when it comes to finding builders, right? And as we've talked about before, and if you don't know these principles, you need to go to dailymentorcalls.com and learn how to contact and follow up and how to find people the right way, how to find business builders. But you make your list, you rank your people according to the people that, according to the characteristics of people that have the biggest tendency to be successful. You only work with the top ranked people or sample them at the very beginning. You start with them, you follow up correctly, you invite correctly, you teach a class correctly. You always are opening the door for business opportunities, or you're just having those business conversations right from the very beginning. Go out and find who you're looking for and keep looking until you find it. If it was a husband, would you just settle? Would you just say, you know what, I just don't think I'm going to find anyone better. He's not really what I'm looking for, but I'm just going to be with him for the rest of my life. No, we don't do that. Not if we really are wanting to be happy and not if we're really wanting, to be satisfied. So we don't do that also with a business. Be patient and go out and find who you're looking for. So the next section that I want to talk to you about is the biggest mistakes that we make in placements and how to solve them, okay? These are the very biggest mistakes that we make. And I'm going to go through this, and some of you are going to be sad, and it might even feel depressing because you're like, I made that mistake. Oh my gosh, I made that mistake too. It's okay. We all make mistakes, and there is a way to solve these problems, right? But you need to know what these mistakes are so you don't do them again. The number one mistake that we make in placements is we put product users and sharers on our front line. right? We have a class, we have some product users and maybe a share. We don't know any different. And so that share says, yeah, I'd love to have a class. And so you think, great, I'm going to put her on the front line. And then everybody that she brings in, I'll put underneath her. Well, that's great. But if she's a sharer, now you have a sharer for, the rest of your doTERRA career on the front line who is not committed and usually most of the time not capable. And you have to start building for them. Do you remember where sharers go in our organization? They go on level 3. They go on level 3. So how do we solve this problem? How do we not put sharers or product users on the front line? Because if we do have our first class, they have to go somewhere. Well, unfortunately, when we build the business, a lot of people build and it goes like this. They'll have a class. They clean up their house, they vacuum, they do all this stuff. And guess what? People come. It's a lot of work. Some people sign up and they think, I'm not going to do that for another couple weeks. We have just missed the opportunity of the 14-day, rule for placing them. So you have to put them somewhere. That sharer has to go somewhere, or the product user has to go somewhere, so that somebody has to go frontline. The way that we avoid this in the future with people that want to build a business is we do the 6 weeks to elite training. If you do not know how to do this, go back to dailymentorcalls.com and go and learn about the 6 weeks to elite, right? Where we have many classes. That first week that we launch our business, we have 4 classes, and we do all the inviting and the follow-up and the classes correctly. So we have many, many, many people that we can choose from. And the people that we sampled and invited in the first place are higher on the rating scale. So they're the ones that are most likely to be successful in the business. So we have a lot of people to choose from. The more people that we have to choose from when we first start the business, the better it is and more likely that you're going to find those committed and capable people that you can put on the front line. So putting product users and sharers on your front line is the number 1 mistake that we make. Mistake number 2 is putting family on your front line. So isn't this a great picture? I get a lot of feedback, sometimes backlash about this, because it's like, I want my sister to be successful. I want my mother to be successful. I'm the same way. I want my family to be successful too, but I'll tell you the problems with putting family on your front line. Number 1, you cannot hold them accountable. If I called up my mom at the end of the month and said, Mom, you still have 1,100 points left. What are you going to do about it? She'd probably be like, don't you talk to me like that, young lady, right? She's my mother. I can't hold my mother accountable. And you feel this and they feel this obligation to build for them. Or if you have, a new builder, it's like, why didn't you put them under my leg or all that? And without that even being said, it hurts relationships. I can't tell you how many times people have put family on their front line, and in time, their relationships become more business relationships than a family relationship. And this is sad. This is really sad. We once had a lady in our organization pretty far down, and she had 7 daughters. She put all 7 daughters on her front line. Boom, 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 boom. And what happens when they go to family reunions? Who does Aunt Edna go under, right? And it caused a lot of contention. In fact, she actually went diamond and ended up stopping to build doTERRA because she said it had ruined the family relationships. I had a lady also that had come to a training with me, and she was there with her sister. And I talked about this mistake number 2, putting family on your front line. And she said, oh, well, it's totally been fine with us. We've worked it out great. Well, she was the upline. And after she left the classroom, her sister, who was downline, came up to me and said, it has not worked out great for me. So save your family relationships. Don't put family on frontline ever. Just don't do it. And I know that some of you already have family on your frontline, and we're going to have to solve that problem, right? But in the future, moving forward and with your builders, I literally tell my leaders, if you choose to put family on your front line, that's fine, but you choose to build on your own. because I know what is going to happen in 6 to 12 months. And I don't want to put my time and energy into something that I know we're going to have to rebuild. And usually they backtrack and go, oh, well, okay. I put my brother second level down. He reports to somebody else. He's held accountable to somebody else, not to me. Whenever we get together, guess what? We talk family. We don't talk doTERRA. My mother is not on my front line, but she's in a place in the organization where after I became financially free, I was able to help her. And I did place leaders underneath her because I wanted her to retire. But this was after I was completely financially free and they took off, and she has a check from doTERRA for the rest of her life. I too want to help my family, but I want to do it in a way that gives me time freedom. So mistake number 2, do not put your family on your front line. Mistake number 3, not placing by location. Let me tell you what that means. So let's say, here's locations, right? Let's say you have a leg in Nevada, right over here. You have a leg in Nevada, you have a leg in California, and you have a leg in Texas, okay? And let's say your Nevada leg is doing great, your California leg is doing great, but your Texas leg is struggling, and you want to go silver that month, and your Texas leg is short in volume. But you live in Nevada, and so it's easier for you to build in Nevada. So you find this person that wants to buy a $500 kit and wants to share in Nevada, and you think to yourself, well, my Texas leg is short, so I'm just going to put this person under my Texas leg. Makes sense, right? Because you needed that volume to go silver, and you want to go silver, so you stick that volume in Texas. This is not a good long-term strategy. Why? Well, because it's not your front line, and the share needs to be helped by someone. Is the Texas team going to support that Nevada share? No. Who's going to have to support that Nevada share? You will. And it starts taking your time freedom away. And if you do this 20 or 30 times across your organization, no wonder why you have no time to go find new, committed, and capable leaders. Do you see how this kind of, plays out in your organization? And it plays out in a way that it strips you of your time freedom. And it doesn't create really self-reliant leaders. And this has to be your number one guiding principle when you're thinking of placements. So what do? Well, we place our Nevada people in our Nevada leg. We put our California people in our California leg, and our Texas people in our Texas leg. And if you're short in one of the legs, what do you need to do? Well, you need to go out to Texas or get your Texas team excited, and you need to build. And one of the things that we teach you in the Daily Mentor Calls is to go back and find out at the very beginning of the month, and they're called business builder worksheets that you need to do at the beginning of the month. Find out where you're going to be missing volume at the end of the month so you know where you're going to put your time that month, right? Super, super, super important. Next, mistake number 4, not placing by relationships, okay? So it's really important that we put people in the right type of relationship groups. For instance, let's say every morning you go running with a group of ladies and they all know each other, they all talk to each other, they're all friends, okay? And let's say at work, you have work friends. Well, what if one of the ladies that are running comes up and talks to you and says, hey, I'd really like to join doTERRA. And I'd like you to help me. And you say, great. But your work leg, so all the people in your work leg, it's short that month. So you take the lady in your running group and you place her underneath your work leg. Let me tell you why this is a problem. Number 1, the work people aren't going to support her. They don't know her. Number 2, she's going to be talking to the running group, and she's probably going to be going to their classes and asking them questions. And that running group will literally come to you and say, why didn't you place her? She's a friend of ours. Why didn't you put her in with us? Like, we're going to have to help her. And we've been the one that's, with her this whole time. Why did you place her somewhere else? And it causes problems. It causes drama. I promise, in your organization, it causes problems. And so try to keep people, relationships together. Like family goes with family in the family, like work people go with work people, running people go with running people, right? That's the very best solution that you can come up with. Now, I have kind of a hard question for you. What if mom, who lives in California, has a sister that lives in Nevada? Do you put the sister in your Nevada group, or do you put her with mom because you try and keep her in relationships? What trumps, location or relationship? Well, relationships trump. So you always try and keep them with relationships first, and then after, try and keep them in the right location, because there's nothing worse than drama in the downline. There's nothing worse than killing motivation with your people, than having them feel like you're being selfish or you're not being considerate or you've stolen somebody from them, right? So those are the 4 biggest mistakes that we make when it comes to placements in the organization. How many of you have made these mistakes? Probably most of us, right, have made most of those mistakes, and we're feeling the repercussions because of it. So what do we do? Once we have this, what do? We have this problem, don't know how to solve it. Do we just say, I'm scrapping everything, I'm starting over from scratch, no, we don't do that. This is what we do. Number 1, the first thing we're going to do, and the easiest thing, we're going to go from easiest to hardest, okay? The easiest thing for us to do is to build a new leg. So many people are so afraid to build a new leg. It's almost like it's the last thing they want to do. They treat it like it's as hard as growing back a new leg, like on their body. That's like growing a new leg. It's not. Building a new leg is far easier than a lot of the other things that we've been talking about. Getting people remotivated, doing all these other things. I always tell people it's easier to give birth. It's easier to give birth than raise people from the dead. So building a new leg is not hard when you have the skill sets, when you know what to do to find people and train people and get them moving. So let me tell you how strongly I feel about this. Like almost always, hands down, I'd rather build a new leg than any other thing, because I feel like I'm starting with a new person that's not demotivated, that's, that doesn't have a lot of baggage. Although I definitely will do other things if, their organization wants to move, but building a new leg is a lot easier. So I have a team out in Taiwan, and my front line was a lady who was a great builder. She was diamond, and she got cancer. She had 4th-stage cancer, and she passed away. And when she passed away, we thought, what are we going to do with this organization? It had about 90,000 points of volume in the leg. But she gave her organization to her son, which is totally legal, and passed it on to him. But her son had no interest in building, no interest in, committing to anything. He just kind of wanted to stay there and just keep a check. And he didn't want anyone to, move into his spot. He wasn't willing to do anything. So I had a decision to make. Do I build for her son for the rest of my life and kind of take some of my time freedom away, even though, there is this big group under her? Or do I start a new leg and create a new qualifying leg and let that 90,000 of volume, 90,000 points? Of course, they're invited to all my trainings. Of course, if somebody reaches out and wants me to help, I will. They're always invited to all the trainings. They're always, it's not like you ignore them, but you don't focus on them. And so we started a new leg. And within a year, we had a new qualifying leg that was committed and capable. That's how strongly I feel about, if I can pass up 90,000 in a leg, you can surely think about your 1,600 points or your 2,000 points that you're holding on to so tight and not wanting to build a new leg because you don't want to give up those points. We now know through the mentor calls, and if you don't know how to do this, you need to know how to do this, how to go elite. So create 3,000 in points in just 6 weeks. So there's a couple of ways that you can build a new leg. Number one, you just put up a new leg right on your front line. Just right there on your front line, and you start a brand new leg on your front line. Or number two is you place a new committed and capable leader under an existing leg. For instance, like this. So imagine in your organization this is your front line. You had a committed and capable leader here. You had a sharer here, which is a problem. And then 2 other committed and capable leaders, okay? Well, down here, under this product user, let's say this is where you're missing points. But you don't want to count on the share forever, and you don't want to drag them forever. So you can place a committed and capable leader underneath that product user, hold on to enrollership, right? And in time, as that committed and capable leader builds, you just qualify them as your new frontline. So you can do it 2 ways. But I have to warn you on something. When you do this second way, and you place a committed and capable leader farther down in your organization, it hurts you long-term with your unilevel. It cuts your unilevel check down. But sometimes that's the price that we have to pay. Like, for instance, what if this person here, they're a diamond, right? And they quit their job, and they now have a diamond organization. And if they just simply didn't use this leg at all right here, they would lose their diamond check, which would mean they probably have to go back to work, which would slow down their business altogether. So what's better? Well, probably what's better is to stay full-time, put a committed and capable leader in one of those positions, and then keep moving forward. So that's a couple of ways that we can build a new leg. And I know you're nervous about this. I know this is, and I'll tell you why most people are nervous about this, because they think it took me like 3 years or whatever to build this leg that's not very committed and capable. I can't afford another 3 years. But let me remind you, when you know how to do things differently, you will have different results. You will have different results. All right? So it doesn't need to take 3 years. It shouldn't take 3 years when you do it correctly. It won't take 3 years. So it's absolutely the first and easiest way to solve your placement issues. Number 2, you can do what's called an account transfer. Let me show you what that looks like. It's basically when you have a new person that has never been signed up with doTERRA before, okay? So they haven't been signed up with doTERRA, and like as a wellness advocate, they haven't been signed up as a wellness advocate. You can actually take that new person and you can move them in to an existing position. So if that new person that you've looked for and you found they're committed and capable, what a perfect scenario here. You move that new person in to that sharer position. Now, sometimes it's tricky to get that sharer to be okay with moving out of their position. Sometimes they'll say no. And if they say no, then you have to add a new leg somewhere, right? But the key is here, you have to make it a win-win for them and you, not just for you. So sometimes you have to give product to them. Sometimes you have to actually even pay some of the money that you would make from that leg for a little while to move people in there. You have to negotiate. And if you don't know how to do this negotiation, have your diamond upline do it with you, okay? Because they're a lot more experienced. And if you are a diamond upline, then make sure you do it a win-win. Now, why wouldn't I put this as number 1, the easiest thing to do? Well, I'll tell you why. Remember at the very beginning, we talked about building. And when I find people that I place under somebody else, they want to come back to me, right? Well, when this new person moves into this organization, all of those people in the organization underneath, they're not committed to him or her. I mean, they're new. So sometimes it's a good fit with the leader. Sometimes it isn't. It definitely is not, doesn't always work out. And for sure, it doesn't work out if you're transferring somebody in that you have not tested. If you haven't tested them, I have seen people in my organization that have literally gone through 4 different account transfers, 4 different times, like over 2 or 3 years. They just every 6 months transfer somebody in again, and they don't test them. They don't test them. And so it just drags out. So this is definitely not the easiest way to solve. This is the second easiest. Transferring somebody into your account. So, this might be a great solution for you, is an account transfer. And the way that you do this is you fill out a form from the company. When somebody wants to transfer in, this almost always gets accepted. This is not hard. If you don't know how to do it, you can call your account manager or ask your Diamond upline how to do it. The next is an enrollership change, okay? So we all know that when we have enrollership, that becomes our person that we can qualify with. So let's take the same scenario. Let's say you have, 3 CCs, committed and capable people, on your front line, and 1 sharer on your front line. Well, let's say that down the line, there is a CC that's in your organization down there. Someone that's committed and capable, and the people above really aren't really building the business. They just share occasionally. What you can do is you can go to this, like let's say this CC, the enrollership, is held by this sharer right here. You can actually go and talk to the sharer right above and ask for an enrollership change, so you become the enroller of that person. And then she gets treated just like your front line. Now, this is a little trickier. This is why it's not first or second on the easiest ways to solve problems, because a lot of people don't like to give enrollership changes. And a lot of times you can offend people and totally demotivate people or just make them angry. So this is a touchy call or sit down. And please, if you're not a diamond and above, don't try and do this. Like, ask your diamond upline to help you do this enrollership change. But basically, how it goes is simply, I would like this person to have some support. And right now, you're not willing or you're not wanting to support them in the way that they really need to be supported. And so if I have enrollership of them, I can actually help. They're going to stay in your organization. You're going to get all the unilevel from them. And you might actually even have to do a win-win where you give back fast starts, because that's one thing that they will lose. And I'd like to build them out so that you get more unilevel and your business grows. And in time, if you decide to engage and build a business, I can always give the enrollership back to you. That's the conversation that really needs to happen. And sometimes that's a touchy conversation. So this is the next way that you can solve your placement issues. And some of you, maybe for you, this is the perfect way to solve it. If you can see places in your organization where you'd want to do this, but don't take enrollership if they're not even committed and capable. Like, don't go through all the trouble and if they're not even committed and capable leaders. Okay, a placement swap. You can do a placement swap. Let me show you what that looks like, okay? Now, these are a little bit harder to come by. The company won't always, maybe even 50% of the time they'll approve it, so you can't bank on this. But it looks like this. What if you have a sharer on your front line and right underneath is a committed and capable leader? So for instance, what if mom right here was the sharer and she wasn't building doTERRA really as a business, she just likes to share, and her daughter, who is really committed and capable, is right underneath her and she wants to set her daughter up for success. What actually happens is the positions don't change, and if right here this committed and capable leader has legs that they've built out, everything down here would stay the same. Nothing would stay the same except for just the names on the account. So instead of this being mom, it's now daughter. And instead of this being daughter, the name on that account is now mom. And they swap positions. Now, why would somebody want to do this? As a committed and capable leader, if you have already legs built out, why would you want to go from 3 legs being built out to just 1 leg? Why would you want to be on top, right? Well, because if you're closer to the leader on top, you get more support, more resources, more time, more support. And for some people, that's a huge, huge, huge win. And for you, you now have your committed and capable leader on your frontline position. So this is a placement swap. You have to fill out forms to do this. And if you don't know how to do this, ask your account manager or ask your diamond upline how to do this. The next thing is you can actually terminate accounts. You can terminate someone's account. Now, we definitely don't want to go through the doTERRA organization and just get out, get out, get out. You know, we don't want to make those calls and saying, do you really like it here? You don't really like it here, huh? You probably need to get out. That's not our culture. So you have to be really careful when you do this. But when someone terminates an account, if they say, you know, I really don't want the pressure of being on your front line. I didn't sign up for this type of stuff. I just wanted to have a couple classes and I got stuck front line. You can literally say, well, we can call in and terminate your account, and then you can enroll somewhere else in my organization, right? You can enroll in my organization again. And when somebody terminates their account, the people underneath them, the person underneath them right here, the CC underneath, actually in time will move up to your front line automatically. And you would automatically get the enrollership of that person. Now, if the account that terminates has been silver or above, you have to wait longer. You know, usually it takes, you know, about 6 months to roll up. But if they've been silver above, so if that account has been a silver or gold or whatever, then you have to wait 12 months for them to roll up. So it's not an immediate fix, but long term, what it does is it gets that person, you know, that committed and capable leader on your front line. And then you have all committed and capable leaders on your front line. So next, there is what's called the exceptions committee. And they meet a couple times a month and they go over lots of exceptions from the entire company. But you have to remember, they are exceptions. This is something you can't bank on. 75% of the time, the answer is no. The answer is no, because they're exceptions. And in fact, most companies, they don't even have an exceptions committee. They don't even allow people to make exceptions. So we're really, really, really lucky. I've sometimes run into people and I've said, well, what's your plan, you know, to build, or what's your plan to go? And they're like, oh, well, okay, I'm doing this exception and this and this. And then after I'm doing this, and then I'll be diamond. I'm like, you can't bank on that. That's just a dream. That's not a plan. That's a dream. And you can't bank on exceptions, but you can put requests into exceptions, and sometimes they're accepted. Now, I just want to tell you really quickly, so you don't waste your time and your upline's time in signing forms and all that. They will always say no to 3 things. Always, always, always. It's an immediate no. Number 1, it's an immediate no when the move makes you a new rank. If you ask for all these exceptions and if they said yes to them, it makes you an immediate silver or a platinum, they will always say no to it. And I know that that's what you want, but to be fair to the rest of the company, if everyone else were able to do that, it would really water down the pools. And those people need to be there in those pools because they've earned it, not because they've tweaked the system and moved things around to make them a rank. They have to build to the rank. So that's always a no. The next no, if that move fills in the power of 3. So if it immediately makes you a $250 or $1,500 bonus, they will say no to it. No, 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 no. Because that's not fair either, right? For the people that have built to power of 3. So they'll say no. So don't even ask for that, that request if it does that. The third is if you're trying to move a leg and they have over 1,000 points in volume in that leg, they will not move the leg. Even if it's 1,006 points, they will not move it. Why? Why wouldn't they move the leg? Well, because every time volume is moved, if you're moving it down a level, right? Then your upline, the unilevel on that volume gets cut in almost in half, 45%. And what if your upline did a lot to help? Sometimes they don't, but what if they did a lot to help? What if they put time and energy and help those people with Diamond Club and was a sponsor? That's not fair for just volume to be constantly moved around, and it hurts the upline. So, and they want to just protect everyone's businesses, and you're really grateful that they protect yours this way too, right? So if it has over 1,000 points, they will not move it. So if you're asking any of these three things, just don't waste your time. Literally, don't waste your time. Don't waste your upline's time for doing it. Okay, so that's the exceptions committee, and there's a lot of things that you can ask, and there are many exceptions that are approved. If you don't know how to work with the exceptions committee, ask your account manager or ask your upline diamond, and they will know. So let's go over this. Let's say if this was your organization, and it's kind of a little messy, right? What would you do to fix this? On your front line, you have a committed and capable leader, you have a sharer, you have another committed and capable leader, and you have a product user. So I'm going to go through this, and there's multiple things that we can do to fix this organization, right? Let's start with the first. First of all, here's you. Underneath that sharer, 2 levels down, is a committed and capable leader. So we can take enrollership of that committed and capable leader, and that solves the issue of that one sharer problem, right? So now you have 3 committed and capable leaders on your front line. This other leg over here that just has product users, this one, I would just let them be product users and put them into the continuing education class. Even if there's volume there, there's really nothing to work with. So what do we do with something like that? We start a new leg on our front line. So we're starting a new leg. We're taking enrollership of the committed and capable person. And, let me go back really quick. And those are the ways that we can solve these issues right here, right? And that's not too hard. It's not too bad. You find a new leg and you take enrollership. So our placement plan would be basically find a new leader that's committed and capable. Number 2, place them on our front line, and then get an enrollership change. This is our plan. All of you need to go through your organization and find out, first of all, who's truly committed and capable. Like, label them. I have people just write out their organization for the first 3 levels, all the circles, right? And go through and say, are they a sharer? Are they a product user? Are they committed or capable, like 1C, or are they 2Cs? And then when you see that on your paper, then you can look and say, okay, what can we do? How do we solve this? Do we do a transfer? Do we do a swap? Do we take enrollership? Do we build a new leg? Do we ask for an exception? And then you actually write out a strategy for your placements. This is the placement strategy right here. And this is how, in time, you could have all of your frontline committed and capable, meeting your goals of having self-reliant leaders and having time freedom in the future. Okay, if this was your organization, let's talk about another organization. Number 2, you have a sharer, a product user, someone that's capable, and another product user. Whoa, we don't have any CCs on our front line. Does this look like your organization? So what would we do here? Let's look at it. Okay, starting from left to right, here we go. We have a sharer. We have a CC here. We could do a swap, right? Here, there's all product users. We probably won't even worry about that leg. Right down here on the 3rd leg, we have a CC way underneath. We're going to try and get an enrollership change. Over here in this leg, we're going to probably terminate that account as a product user, let them sign up somewhere else, and this CC will roll up to our front line. So now we have 1, 2, 3 CCs on our front line, not going to worry about the product leg. And then to become a diamond, well, we stick up a brand new leg, a new committed and capable leader. And that, my friends, that's your placement strategy. So it goes like this. Step number 1, find new builders, committed and capable. Step number 2, place on frontline. Step number 3, terminate the account and let the CC roll up to the front line. Step number 4, get an enrollership change of your CC. And step number 5, ask for an exception to swap the CC with a share. That is our strategy. Does that make sense? And that is how we that's how we do it. And it's doable. I promise you, if you will go through the steps of first learning the basics of the business and learning how to find people. If you don't know all these steps, please go back to dailymentorcalls.com and learn them. And then figure out and be really clear what you're looking for. And don't stop and don't settle until you find what you're looking for, and keep talking with people until you find what you're looking for. At the same time, figuring out the problems, that you have in your organization. You're ready for success. You're on your way. It will work out. And doTERRA is so awesome. It's an incredible, incredible business. And the business really, truly does work. So I wish you the best of luck in placements and in learning how to solve some of the problems with placements. Have a great day. Bye-bye.